Hey, it's Heather with Manifesting Naturally, where we dig into the law of assumption through the teachings, books, lectures, and recordings of the one and only Neville Goddard. Neville Goddard is my favorite. He's my favorite mystic. I don't know that I have many others, but he still would be my favorite even if I had a lot of them. So he's the one that basically deciphered the Bible, not as secular history. He blew that out of the water. And he looks at it as rather psychological states of mind that are personified by literally every person, place, and thing that's written in that Bible, in the New and the Old Testament. So it becomes riveting, right? Because now you know it's about you. So I'm so excited, really, to finally kick off this YouTube channel that I've been wanting to get started. And I can't think of a better way than to start at the beginning with the key to it all. And that is the concept and practice of the mental diet. I know you've heard that term thrown around. Maybe you aren't sure what it means, or even if you do, my question is, are you referring to the secret that's right out in the open, as most secrets are? And what that secret is the lecture on the 12 disciples. Because the mental diet is what most people are really struggling with to get through the day, right? So many of us, I know I definitely did, we overlook this powerful resource. So when we talk about the law of assumption, Goddard, mental diet, again, it's just so neglected, is that lecture on the 12 disciples. And again, these are not actual men that walk the earth. They each represent 12 different qualities of mind that we can control when we practice, and we can discipline them. And when we discipline them, they make this so much easier, right? Because then they serve us as we go through this journey, this spiritual awakening, which it is. And, it's like nothing else. So welcome to your spiritual awakening, or the first phases of it. So I'm not going to go over each of them now. They really are, each could be a video by themselves. They're that important. But I do want to encourage you to read this lecture. And I'm going to share with you a little bit about my own experience in both realizing how I wish I had taken them more seriously earlier on, but also how they have been a game changer even now, right? So practice them, and I promise when it comes to manifesting, the journey is so much smoother. You catch things quicker. It's a gift in itself. It's a manifestation in and of itself, honestly. And I thought of it when I thought of it, right? My subconscious led me right to it when it was time. I just wasn't ready for it at that time. So I'm going to give you this offering, and hopefully it will resonate. And if not, you'll be able to come back to it when you are. That's the great thing about this journey too, is sometimes you come upon things that level you up, which is something I love to say all the time. I always and only level up, and I always understand law of assumption, and that has not ever failed me. But let's just get into it here, okay? So first, I definitely suggest, if you're new to his teachings, you keep in mind that this is not the Pope's Bible, okay? This is not your parents' Bible. It's not your grandma's Bible. This is a spiritual and psychological spin on the whole notion of religion, right? Like I said, everything written is as a parable about you. So go and listen or read his original works. They're all available online. You can find them on YouTube or anywhere, really. But have no fear, because if you do feel lost, I gotcha. Because I have spent years doing just that, going right to the source. Because social media has turned it into what my mind sees it as a leftover, melted in the sun banana split with like napkins and straw wrappers and cigarette butts and bees. And like now you have to go and like sort of take a bite of that. No, thank you. No. So I got to. I've spent years going over this. I go right to the source, and that's what I had to do for myself. And so now I am here to try to help, and I promise you, this shit is legit, right? It really is. So really, make sure you subscribe, because I am a Neville Goddard purist, and I really share only his authentic teachings to the best of my ability. Because if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? I'm not out here trying to invent a better mousetrap, right? Why waste my time? So what this means for you, it means that you can manifest anything you desire, and it's going to be able to come so much faster. But more important than time and seeing your manifestations come fast, which I know we all want, it's going to make it easier and gentler. That is the way that it is meant to be, and that is how Neville teaches it. And that's just how I roll, okay? Because I embrace the lazy manifesting lifestyle. So the less effort, Neville tells you don't have to lift a finger, the more thank you and yes please I am over here saying to that. So I'm going to definitely embrace that. So manifesting should be effortless, and your manifestations, when you are able to use your words and your thoughts, which are a gift from God, right, to us, one of the many, you can begin to, like I said, discipline them, and you can start to change the way you're seeing your reality, the way reality is showing up for you, the way people are showing up for you, and make it an experience that you enjoy. So let's start here, okay? So one of Neville's main points is that our thoughts are creating our reality. And his plea, right? Like I said, now we've had this spiritual awakening. And again, I'm always so thankful, and I feel so lucky to even know who he is, and to, be here contemplating this and applying it, and just being in awe of it, of how amazing it works. The law is the law, works every time. And I just love being aware of it. And so he wants you to start paying attention to you being aware, to your own awareness of disciplining that inner conversation. Because, let's face it, we have spent our entire lives, and most of us are adults by the time we get here. We have been through some fucking furnaces, okay? And we spent years not paying any attention to our thoughts. So basically we were planting seeds that we don't remember planting. And then when the crop came up, we're like, who the fuck planted that in my garden? Because there's no fucking way I would have done that, but you did. And the time interval kind of makes us forget, because we were not aware of what we were thinking. Right? So we're manifesting blindfolded, or just sort of blowing in the wind. Seeds are blowing in the wind. And we were not aware that we have always been manifesting. We didn't know this. So that which we believed and we were thinking constantly, in fact, inner dialogue never stops. My friends like to tell me I talk 8,000 times more than anybody they've ever known, even when I was making a conscious effort to cut that in half. So it truly never stops. But it's not about the amount, it's about the context and the content of your words, because our words have weight and they matter, and we really have to start being mindful of the things we're saying and thinking, because they create our assumptions, and they are what we become. We start imagining, right? So you want to think of all those imaginary arguments, right? It seems like I always feel like the shower and the seat buckle somehow turn on the soundtrack to all these inner arguments and conversations that I used to love to engage in. And we really do. Neville talks about that too. Like we really do get a perverse pleasure in like arguing with people, right? Like in our heads. Sometimes it wouldn't even be, it's one thing if it's off the back of an argument and, now you have all the things that you would have, could have, should have said or whatever. Sometimes I would just be bored and I would literally, nothing would be going on and I would just create this dramatic scene. And I was way too old to be doing that. But I still did it. It was a guilty pleasure. Unfortunately, what we learn is that what we were naive to is that our thoughts do not recede to the past. No, they snowball and they roll into the future. And eventually we come face to face with that which we have created. Right? So you ever notice how we will think or we'll assume something about somebody and I just knew that they were going to behave that way, or I just knew they were going to be late. I knew they were going to be an asshole. I knew they were going to forget something. I knew they weren't going to show up. I knew they were going to cancel, whatever. And, not to be, I've been practicing my own disciplines of my own thoughts and words. That works both ways, people that we love and that we trust and that do show up and that are fun and we have a good time with and we believe are there for us and that, we have good relationships with, or that we're good at something, like we're respected at work or school or whatever, right? We're healthy. Those are natural assumptions we had based on things we heard when we were younger and that we continue to think and talk about because we assumed those naturally. That's why we manifest naturally. But what Neville Goddard is teaching us is essentially the exact reverse of what we've known our whole lives, right? We are not suffering from the effect after some outside cause greeted us in an undesirable way, right? Or a way that we continue to have a pattern of experiencing, right? Even like our therapist, our friends, our parents, anybody who's like, on our camp you will say things like, what others think about you is not your business or, that kind of stuff. But it's actually the exact opposite, right? Because rather it's our thoughts, our beliefs, our assumptions are persisting in that and doing it completely unknowingly, unwittingly, that we're the cause. And then we feel the effect as well. So we get, it's a bitch. We get it coming and going. And we don't even know it. We don't even know it. So essentially we're a cause for everything. Everything that happens in our lives. So I'm going to save that for a whole nother video because a little spoiler alert, God is within us. And so since God is everything is within us. And the good news about that, that I will tell you is that, and how that ties into this, is that it offers us so many gifts, right? We get so many gifts. And two really profound gifts that we get are God granted us, humans, words and thought, right? And so what they offer us is the power to change our own reality, how we each would like to enjoy it, what matters to us, what we want to have showing up in this 3D realm that we're living in, that we're existing in, as God in our garments that we know as ourselves. So Neville Goddard explains that the whole manifested world goes to show us how we have used the gift that God gave us. Receiving a gift does not mean that we're going to use it wisely, but we have the gift. Everyone has the gift, and the world simply reflects the use of that gift, our use of that gift. So what does that mean? It means we want to watch it. Right? It means we want to watch what we are saying. We want to be careful of what we are saying, what we are thinking, what we are imagining, what we are lost in thought about, what we are constantly returning back to, what we are looking at another person and, believing of them. We're kind of holding them hostage when we do that, because that's the way we are going to see them. No two people because it's really only us. It's only us in our mind. It's only us in our head. It's only us making these conversations, coming up with these beliefs, having these arguments, having these different conversations. It's us, whether it's a teacher or an employer or a best friend or a spouse or anybody, saying loving things to you. It's us. It's us assuming that and saying that to ourselves, right? It's us that knows that and thinks that and assumes that that's what we're going to hear. And if it's awful things, it's us as well, right? So that's because it's my own, I'm in my own little world because it's my own concept of myself, my own consciousness that is what makes me be just me, and just you, right? So, everything is just getting basically, reflected back by our own thoughts and what we are continually thinking and saying, and how we are judging ourselves and how we're judging others. So we definitely want to be disciplining those thoughts because there's no one else. Everyone is going to have a different experience. Everybody listening to this is going to have a different experience. They're going to see it through their own lens. And some people will get this now, and they'll resonate with it, and they will be able to take advantage of going right to the disciples, and they'll get that head start. And some people won't be ready for it. There was times when that happened to me. I would go to amazing creators and try to learn, and I had no idea what they were talking about. I really didn't, and I tried, and I paid money. I did everything. I did all the things, but I couldn't grasp it. But eventually, I found my way back, and that was because I persisted in thinking thoughts that I do understand. I understand this. I level up. I only level up. That's it. I get it. Every time I hear it, I understand it more and more, until eventually that just naturally happened. It will just naturally sneak up on you. So you really do get a benefit if you're getting into that disciplined mind. Now, had I said, "Oh, I'll never understand this. Oh, I'll never get it. I'll never, forget it. I can't comprehend this. I don't know what they're saying," then that's me experiencing them in one way not because of what they were teaching, but because of what I was thinking about it, right? And so the good news is, that, we do have the power to change that by just simply changing our thoughts. And the most important person that we need to start changing the thoughts about is ourselves, right? Because if I had said those things like I just said, like, I don't get it, I can't understand this, I never will, it's me that gets the worst tongue lashing, right? And over time that creates what I think of myself. That's like who I am. When I ask myself, who am I will, say someone who doesn't understand, someone who can't grasp it, someone who isn't good at manifesting. That becomes my self-concept. We're not talking about it in a psychological way, in a psychosocial way, of not feeling good enough or worthy. I mean, Neville's telling us you're God, right? So we accept, basically, because of all this, because we've been giving ourselves these lashings, giving other people these lashings, going around saying and thinking unlovely things all the time, unknowingly, unwittingly, not using our gift very well, we just basically accept the reflection and just assume that's sort of the way life is. Now, if I had really understood and taken more of this seriously, especially the part of embracing that God is literally within me and that He created man in His image so that we could create in our image, I would have headed straight to the 12 disciples and I would have started practicing. And all these years later, it would be like absolute second nature. Just a much easier catch. I would have been able to make no assumptions so much faster. I would have been able to stop myself from having to backtrack. Because the good news is nothing gets destroyed. Within God, every single thing exists. Within man, we can use the power of our words and the power of our attention and the power of our thought and our disciplined use of those attributes to change that, right? To make it no longer exist, to turn our back to it, to give it no attention, and then it will fade off into the distance, and then we can go back and forth. So we have the ability to do that. We can start making new assumptions. And when we start doing that, we start having a much more loving and desire-focused conversations between our human selves and our imagination. And we know that one of the way God is described to us is as our own wonderful human imagination. Also as consciousness, as love, it was, multiple ways. But essentially, we hear that again and again, right? God is our imagination. Everything is already created, and our conversations and what we're assuming and what we're imagining is basically what we're choosing. And we're doing that with our words and our thoughts. So we learned from Neville that we must literally take all attention away from what we do not want to experience. Just like leave it in the dark to wither and die, right? And so I would not have spent years of endless rote affirming and these jarring approaches of like flipping thoughts on the spot and being terrified of my own doubts or my own intrusive thoughts that would pop up here and there, especially in the beginning, and never knowing when enough is enough. When have I repeated these words enough? When am I reprogrammed? Neville Goddard does not talk about reprogramming. We basically, that's one way to go about it, but it's not anything Neville Goddard teaches. Like I said, he is boldly telling us we are gods dressed in human garments, and I'm going to take that option. Yeah. So the other option is to be reprogrammed and to, like I said, try to flip these thoughts to change our frame of mind, which actually just has us more focusing on them more, which is not having a disciplined mind and not hearing what we don't want to hear, which is, trying to convince ourselves that we're chosen, we're worthy, we're good enough, when in fact, that's just implying that we are not those things. But if we're God, then we are those things inherently. So we want to be turning our back to that stuff. So I'm going to leave the laptop. That's for you to decide if you want to be God or you want to be a laptop. And I'm going to choose God, and I'm going to let the laptop play Neville Goddard lectures for me to listen to. So being God, that's a whole other story. We'll talk about that another time. But right now, I do just want to say that even though I got a later start with really understanding how important and helpful the lecture is and those qualities are in making this, number one, explain the premise of manifesting in order of each disciple listed, right? So it basically kind of goes down the line and explains the whole process. But it's one thing to know of your gift and then another thing to get good at mastering it. So I promise if you start taking them seriously and watching your words and watching your thoughts, and you start doing that now, little by little, you're going to blow anyone who knew you, the old you, that old state, that old self-concept. You're going to blow them away. And they're going to want to know where the fuck you found the wand. But the best thing is like this, it isn't magic, but it feels so magical, every time, you know that you just thought something, you just spoke it, and then there it is in your 3D. That shit just never gets old. In fact, it's like, it fucking thrills me every time. And that's why I'm here doing what I'm doing. Because I just want to say again, like, welcome to your awakening, my friend. We have an eternal ace up our sleeve. No matter what anybody is saying, it doesn't matter. It doesn't apply, because we know what we know, and we know that our thoughts and our words and our assumptions, our beliefs, persisting, and that Neville Goddard has the answers. all wrapped up, neatly tied, and is giving them to us as a gift. So please accept the gift. Accept the gift. And like I said, we're going to talk about that next time. But basically, that gift allows you to have, be, and do anything. So I shall use my gift lovingly and invite you to please make sure you subscribe for weekly posts on my very favorite thing to talk about, Neville Goddard content, manifesting. And while you're at it, you probably, like I said, came for an SP, but you're staying for the lifestyle. So go on over and visit Manifesting Naturally at Calendly for coaching and workshops. We have a lot planned and a lot more to come, and we get great results from them. And join the Facebook group. Wonderful group of people, really into the lifestyle, really supportive, really understanding, really wanting to learn this. And yeah, you'll absolutely love the atmosphere in there. And then follow me on TikTok for posts and lives. We have lots of fun there too. And, we just like to have a good time. So this really should be more fun than most people have been experiencing it. But I'm trying to make it as fun as possible, and we really try to think up different ideas. And I love my manifested crew. I absolutely love and adore them. So come be part of it, because guess what? You manifested me. And I manifested you. So thanks for listening and watching. And I will be back for the next episode, where we'll be talking about accepting the gift of being God and how crucial that is.